So, should we go ahead and start with the first item on the agenda?
Yes.
Great. All right. Organize for window dressers. The insert build that Middlebury is doing at, I think, the rec center in Middlebury. And so far, nothing has really happened, I don't think, in New Haven or Middlebury. And I think the idea is for us, as we know how to do it, we just start doing it. So we just need to focus on outreach and, who's going to measure and make sure we know how to do that and that kind of thing. So it's not like we need to have some sort of a group here in Bristol that is staying on top of doing these different things. We're not really coordinating with the other towns on a regular basis. We'll just end up doing the build together. So we just need to form a little, team or a little idea of who's doing what, and then begin to do that work. So the main things are reaching out and just talking about Front Porch Forum and with other people about window dressers, and inviting people to think about it and sign up. So we can do that online and through friends if we want, or the Harvest Fest, that kind of thing. So we need to figure out who wants to do that kind of part of it, outreach. One thing that I haven't been able to find in my records is our guide that we had last year that gave us the full guide of how to do. Actually, that's not true. I'm thinking of the one where we're at the build. That one we don't need right now. So I have something I either sent or I'm going to send. I might have just gotten it ready to send. That gives a guide on the measuring, so that people can kind of look at that and see if they want to measure. I think we have. Well, Richard, I'll ask you. You have a laser measurer now.
Yep.
Yeah, great. And last year, Mike and I worked together. I talked with Marianne, who said she was in Lincoln helping them. She said she'd help us with the writing down the recording of the measurements when a measurer does it. So I said I'd be glad to, work with her, or I don't know what, Mike, you want to do or not. And then, Richard, were you thinking of being a measurer, or are you just the angel who's bringing us the laser measurer?
No, I'll volunteer to do some measuring.
Okay.
I don't qualify as an angel.
Well, we didn't have a laser measurer, and now we do because of you. So that's huge.
I could volunteer to work with Richard and be the person who writes down measurements.
Okay.
Great. Excellent.
Is that helpful or not?
Yes.
Very helpful.
Are you sure you've got the time, Sally?
Well, it depends when we're doing it.
Okay. I'll need to work with a team in seeing exactly what paperwork is done and so on. Once go along with a team, and then I'm sure we can schedule some on our own.
Okay, I just looked up Window Dressers Vermont, and I got a website that has some information on it. So that's helpful to me. I think my daughter did it, and a friend of mine did it, the building part.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it, I don't know about.
Yeah, the building part, of course, is different from going into somebody's home and measuring, and that's what I have not done. So I'll need to team up for the first one.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's a good idea. We could do one together, Richard, and kind of go over that so that you learn. There's, you know, lots of things to know about the way to talk to people about it and stuff like that. So that sounds great.
Okay.
Maybe
And
we
then-
could get, maybe we'll end up, you and I could do something, then we could get a group, or whatever. We'll figure out that, but that's something that the four of us, Mike, are you on board? Or are you doing other stuff?
No, I'm on board. That would be fine.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, let's see if we can get a live client and go in and measure their windows.
I think it would be good to do it with the live client after we've done it together at one of our houses or something.
Oh, okay.
So that, there's a lot of stuff you want to iron that out before you go on live.
Good idea.
And last year, Mike and I did it, just the two of us for Bristol. So it's not like we need a ton of people, but we need people who, really know what's going on to go in. So I think if we learn it really well, we won't each have a lot to do, even if a lot of people sign up. So that's good.
Good. So then we'll schedule the laser so we don't have two teams needing it at the same time, and
yeah,
I'll pass it around.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Actually, I should just say that I'm on this meeting just out of interest, but I don't know if someone has to be invited to be on the committee or whatever.
Would you like to be on the committee?
Right this very minute, I'm a little busy, but I would like to be, because I think of this committee as more of an action committee
Boots
than
on
a
the ground.
committee. I'm rather overdoing the Zoom these days, and but anyway, you can put me down if you would like as certainly an interested volunteer.
Great. And interested volunteers sounds awesome. Thank you. For actually becoming a member, that's something the select board, it's a kind of a going through the select board because we're a little, an offshoot of them. So you go to the town office and get a little application, which is very simple. Basically, you put your name and why you want to be on the committee. And then at some point at a select board meeting, they'll have people who are interested, which we don't have anyone else right now, I don't think, but maybe, I forgot his name, but over at co-housing, there's someone who's interested, maybe. And then that's the way we get more people, which is really exciting.
Okay.
So thanks for volunteering in the meantime and learning about it.
Great.
Okay, so we talked about the measuring. And as far as outreach, I guess I will go through what we did last year and find out how we want to pitch the window dressers. And then we'll try to get more of those cards. Richard, you were at the Addison County Regional Planning Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Right. And I think those cards went somewhere else, like they went to Middlebury or something afterwards. So we'll need to get more.
We need to get some more
cards.
Yep.
That describe it.
Where did they come from? Did they come from window dressers?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to contact them and get some?
That'd be great. Awesome.
Also, I don't know anything about the cost of windows, how we calculate that.
Yep. We don't need to do that. Well, let's see. We do need to do that. It happens on the software. Once we punch in the numbers, which I don't know how to do, but Marianne knows how to do. And Maggie used to punch mine in for me because I didn't know how to do that part of it. So if Marianne's able to put that into her computer, it'll pop out the cost of the window for each window, depending on exactly the size of that window.
So is that done on the spot?
Well, Mike and I did not do that on the spot. I think Marion and Robert might have. I went back and gave all the information to Maggie, and then she put out a sheet, and then I called the folks back, or actually she sent something to those people, I think, to say, this is what your windows would cost. So we'll have to talk to Marianne about her doing that part of it, see if she's willing to do that part, or someone else will need to learn, but it's a tricky thing to do. At least it seems like it to me.
So is there a particular contact person where we can go to get all this information?
I would say, it used to be, the window dressers, what's her name? Person who used to be the main person. But I think they're looking for a new person to do that because she's moved to a different, might be running the whole thing now. I guess maybe I'll talk to Gary actually and find out. He's the head of the Middlebury thing. Maybe there's a chance that information is going to go through him, and they're coordinating that part of it. I haven't figured that out yet. I'll touch in with Gary about that.
Okay, so why don't we set a deadline of maybe September 1st, something like that, when we'll have all this information together and then can start on Front Porch Forum.
Sounds great.
We also need to know what is the last day we can send in measurements.
Yeah, and I believe, yeah, okay, that's.
Larry, no. No, Larry, no.
Okay, so find out last day to send in measurements with Gary, and how they're going to deal with it, if it's each small group or Middlebury is doing it directly out of their thing for finding out cost of windows.
Yeah, I'm writing all this down, Sally. You don't have to.
Okay, I started writing it down. That's great. All right, so also Robert mentioned he might be willing to do measuring. It sounds like we don't need it. And he probably doesn't know the same thing that Marianne was doing. So I could check with him if he knows how to do that. But anyway, that's kind of an aside. And the Middlebury build, eventually we'll need to pull people together to work at that. And that, I think we can not really worry about that right now. I think next month we can talk about that.
Right.
I think it'd be fun to get some volunteers in there from other towns that might want to do it like we did last year. So we kind of teach them and it gets them excited about possibly doing it in their towns. It's definitely a fun community build. All right. Any more talk on window dressers? All right. Let's move on to the EV demo on October 1st. Even though I have it written on the agenda as a second item, it's really after our Harvest Fest, which I've put at the end of the agenda because I didn't have it in there earlier. So anyway, I talked with Jen and from GMP, and she's looking forward to doing it. The person who talked about doing it is not going to be there, but doesn't matter. She's going to be there, and she's going to reach out to Bristol electric vehicle owners and ask them if they want to volunteer to bring their car. We could also ask friends that we know or put something on Front Porch Forum.
I'm sure I can get my husband to do that. He adores showing off his car.
Yeah,
Great.
that's great. Excellent. It was good to have him there last year, as I recall. And then the people who do bring their car, I think they're going to get a little bit of a gift certificate for something in town, like to get food. And she was going to reach out to a couple of bike shops to see if they want to bring an e-bike over, but she doesn't think they're going to be able to do that on a Saturday and that kind of thing. But we could look into friends or neighbors who might want to bring an electric bike down to the park that day and show it and let people learn more about it.
What about an electric scooter?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That might help bring some families with kids too.
Yeah, because I think my grandson is getting one as a late birthday present. I think he'd think that was fun.
Cool.
Excellent. Is he going to get it in time for October 1st?
I think so, yes.
Great.
I'll confirm an electric motorcycle.
Okay. I'll look into a few people I know who have electric bikes. And let's see.
Oh,
We don't really, like last year we brought a tent. There's no need for a tent or anything like that. We just
Oh.
show up and GMP kind of runs the thing. We're not going to have a parade like we had last year. It seemed like people just want to get to trying them out or learning about them and talking about them. The parade was not really that useful, it seemed like, so we're not going to do that.
Sally?
Yes, Joan?
Yes, John McCormick. Yes, Sally, I had a thought. Caleb Elder over in Starksboro is a huge fan of electric bikes and does whatever he can to market them. And
Of
he has
electric bikes,
campaigns.
did you say?
Electric bikes, yes.
Okay, yep.
Oh, he's a big fan. Call Caleb, and I mean he's running for re-election, so he could use a little publicity, and he might be really happy to talk about I mean, he is an advocate.
Great. Maybe he'll want to be there on the green with us. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I
that
would
sounds
say
great.
yes, definitely.
Is it
Because he gets
something that
publicity and-
is that anything you would like to do? Talk to him, or would you rather someone else do that?
I'll do that. Thank you. I'll do that, Sally. I'll call Caleb and have this chat with him. And the date for the
It's October 1st at 11
October 1st. Yes.
11
That's plenty of
a.m.
time.
11
Good,
a.m.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you. I'll do that, and I'll report
Great.
back by email.
Thanks. That sounds great.
Mhm.
Excellent. Okay. Anything more with that October 1st event? All right. Let's go to EV charging. I just wanted to touch base again because I've heard from someone who's over in the multi-family housing on Plank Road. She's really wondering if the energy committee can somehow get electric charging for cars over there, how can we help make that happen? Anyone
Well,
have ideas?
yes, as a member of the ARPA committee, I have submitted Matt's paper. Is it Matt? No, Pat. Pat's
Patrick.
analysis of Patrick. Yes, analysis. I sent that on. So that's on Val's desk, and she, thanks us for receiving it. So his, how would I say it? His schematic and budget is going to be a part of the decision by the select board to view all of the ARPA requests for funding.
That's great. And that is specifically for that spot on Main Street across from the post office, for a level 2 charger charging station. So we need to, go ahead.
I would just say, putting a charging station at that multi-family dwelling, it's off the road. It's, how many electric vehicles are going to be parked in that complex?
Well, there is a program. Part of the funding that's going to be available is for multifamily EV chargers, and it's a chicken or the egg situation. I think we should try to get them at our multifamily sites rather than waiting until some people buy electric cars.
I understand. I agree.
Because the money might have run out by then. And it might also incentivize. They were saying tonight on the news that a Chevy Bolt with the federal incentives and the Vermont incentives right now will cost about $15,000. And that's cheaper than a used car.
Wow.
And those are excellent cars.
Yeah, they are.
Really good cars. So this is like two different things. One is the downtown thing we already have a proposal for, and that's in the ARPA lineup, thanks to John. And now we need to do something to create a proposal for multifamily housing. And do we focus on one particular spot, or I think maybe talking with Drive Electric Vermont or someone who knows how to go about the process of getting them.
Yeah. Or what about Madison? I wonder about Madison at the Regional Planning Commission.
That's good.
Suggestion, we can just contact our Senator Bray and say,
good luck.
Can you find this answer for us?
Yeah. We could try that. If you want to try that, you could do that, and someone else could try Drive Electric, and someone else could try RPC, or someone could, do Drive Electric and RPC. And
Richard, let's work on that together.
Did you say let's work on that together?
Yes, Richard and I.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
We'll plumb the various sources.
Good.
Great. Excellent.
I wonder if we ought to talk to Val, if she has thoughts about multifamily places to target.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
It's always great to get her in the conversation and hear her thoughts.
Yeah.
There's the firehouse one that is going to go in, but who knows when that's going to be actually built. But this might be the time to get it okayed,
Isn't there already one at the co-housing?
Yeah, there are a number of them at the co-housing. They bought them themselves there, and they're in. Yeah. But the firehouse planned housing, I think it's 12 family units, maybe, for Firehouse Road.
I see. So it's going to serve that that development. That's great.
I mean, I don't know if there is one. I'm saying that's something we should look into and see
Oh,
if it
okay. I
is.
thought
And if it
there was
isn't, we should kind of say that that would be a good idea. How can we do that? I'm trying to think of what multi-housing locations we should look into. We've got the Plank Road one, which it's something Meadows. I can't remember. And then the firehouse is a coming thing. What else do we have in town? Nothing big, I don't think, but.
There are a couple of buildings that have apartments in them,
Yeah,
like that one on Pleasant and Maple, is it? I don't know. But
oh yes, right, yep.
Okay, we'll check. and
Okay,
see if anybody's, got their.
got Shores to put one in.
I'm sorry,
We
Shaw's.
got Shores to put one in.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. I mean, a lot of supermarkets have them.
Yeah.
And it seems like you could put one on the side of Shaw's.
It might be, yeah, I suppose. I'm not sure. Most shopping at Shaw's is pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
People aren't there for very long. I don't
It's
know
true.
if it's worth it.
Yeah, it would probably need to be a DC fast charger.
Yeah.
Would be out of, probably not in the budget.
Although there are apartments on the edge of the parking lot, so that again, it could be a multifamily facility.
That's a good point. I mean, John Moyer's building is right nearby.
And that the one that has
Oh, yeah,
quite a few apartments in there, right across from the beverage
Yeah.
place. Okay, so we'll do a little checking.
Thank you very much. It's great. All right, so then going on, I just wanted to briefly bring up the library energy audit, just because, it kind of shifts around, but not where everyone's hearing about it. So it seemed like it was wise to really go forward with what Richard was talking about with a building energy audit to get a good look at it. And if you wanted to talk about it, Richard, feel free.
Well, my recommendation, and we have to hear from the library board, of course, and the select board, would be to engage the company Building Energy, which is one of the two companies that Rose recommended from Efficiency Vermont. Rose from Efficiency Vermont said are certified and it would be in our area to do an audit. And I've had experience with them, and what they do is they do an audit with blower door and so on, and then they calculate the cost project by project. So if it's window treatment, there'll be a cost for window treatment, and then each one of the items will also indicate the energy saving, the projected energy saving. So when you get the audit, you have a package that would be ready to present to ARPA, to one of the grant agencies, the House Bill 5118, the municipal building bill, is going to provide $250,000 per town for exactly this purpose, to make the buildings more efficient. And so this package could go right to them. And if they accept it, then it would go right to Building Energy and they would do the work. So it's a very clean process. That's why I like it. If we are put in the position of getting individual estimates and then engaging contractors, it becomes much more difficult a thing to put into a grant and manage. So that was the reason for my recommendation. We'll see what happens.
I think that's great, Richard. I appreciate that. I know we kind of dove into it because we wanted to get it going fast, and we sort of did the piecemeal way. I think that was good for sort of getting us going on it and getting us interested in seeing what might be possible, getting the library board involved and all that. And Matt was really generous with his time, and so were some of the Energy Committee members. But I think it's totally right. It's great to do it this way. That's the real clean package that we can really you just present to whoever's got the money to do it.
The cost is estimated to be about $600.
Yeah.
We'd have to come up with that.
Yeah.
The town would have to come up with that.
What, any chance that this could be fast-tracked so that you could actually have an engineer's budget by, say, middle of September?
Well, Building Energy told me when I talked to them about 3 weeks ago that at that time they could have done it the next week. And so they could turn it around pretty quickly, but we do have to get the $600 somewhere.
Right. Well, doesn't the Energy Committee have a budget of some sort?
No.
I remember Ian used to talk about that.
Yeah, that's something for the winter time, I think, to propose.
I think we should get on the agenda at some point and do this. Like maybe for this particular thing, maybe soon, just say, hey, we need to have some kind of a budget in order to do anything that's going to be helpful for the town to save money. on these things.
Helpful to the town.
Yeah.
I mean, the town has a budget. I'm sure they have discretionary funds.
The Conservation Commission has about $50,000. So,
yeah, there we are. But so the reason I'm asking about fast track, and I'm delighted to hear a quick turnaround, is because this could also be added to the ARPA list of ways to spend that $1 million, because they'd be leveraging you said $200,000 coming into a town.
250,000, yeah.
Yeah, to a town. Well, but leveraging some of that and ARPA funds, you'd probably see contractors in there by after Thanksgiving. No, 2026. The way they, yeah. But anyway, think about that, Richard. And we can talk about that again, because as an ARPA committee member, I did also include building energy efficiency as a sort of a talking point, just as we did the charter.
I think there are a lot of projects that are going to be suggested for that money in Bristol.
Without question. But I'm on the committee that can decide which ones go to the select board.
Yeah. And I think the thing that Richard's talking about is something beyond that, which is the infrastructure type bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different bill that's more specific for this kind of thing.
This is a state funds, H5118. And we've already gotten an indication that they're working on the application procedure.
Yeah.
And so we should, I'd like to be ready.
Yeah. I think that's the one to focus on.
Yeah.
I mean, for
Good. Very good.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the ARPA fund is like 2025.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So as far as that goes, what is going to be our next move to make this happen for this build to engage the building energy thing? I mean, how are we going to, what do we need to ask the select board for the $600 and say, look, this is the time to do it? How do we get that? How do we ask for that?
I think so. I think we should talk to the chair, the library chair.
Yep.
I forget her first name.
Coco.
And get her permission and maybe ask her if she would attend the select board meeting, and we'll just put together a very brief ask.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent.
It could be a board member too on there, maybe.
Yeah.
Carolyn.
Yeah. And I think the next select board meeting is in September, not until September.
Okay, so maybe I should talk with Val and ask, or whoever, who's the chair now of the, is Peaker or
Oh,
Ian?
Ian's the
Ian,
chair.
okay. So I'll talk with
Mhm.
Ian about getting on the agenda for
Okay.
the next meeting.
Okay.
Good work.
Great. All right. Next is the climate and energy conversations. So those of, I missed some of that. And also there was a little bit on Front Porch Forum that was very, interesting to see people talk about their thoughts on climate. So Richard, you've had some conversations in the community. Did you end up meeting at the gazebo, and did people come and talk about climate?
Yeah. We had 4 people, very interesting people. Sally Roth was one of them who came, and we essentially agreed to take part in the 350 Vermont Addison County node, which is going to be doing several things, more listening events, but creating a networking group so that when necessary,
Marco.
what is that?
I think it's John.
You think it's what?
I think it's John on his phone.
Anyway, what we're going to do is put together a group that will be able to very quickly be galvanized into action to contact legislators and other officials regarding important legislation, or even issues like like our ARPA funds and so on, to lobby when necessary. So there are kind of a couple of things right now that we're building during the fall, so that when the legislature actually is in session, we're able to respond quickly, to be able to provide information to legislators, to do research. Jim is working on even drafting legislation. So Jim Dumont, and it looks like a good group, and it's just the beginning. I'm going to go back to Front Porch Forum in September and talk a bit more about climate change and the need for volunteers to kind of step up. And it's very important that we let legislators know that we feel it's important. We're looking for pragmatic programs that work, and that's going to be important as well. So it was productive. It's disappointing that more people aren't interested, but it was also August.
Yeah.
It's a dead time. So we'll keep beating the drum.
Great. Thank you, Richard, for sharing about that.
Sure.
And Sally Roth, I think, told people to take a look at the sunset. Is that true? I can see a peek through the trees from here.
I'm facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
it's fading fast, but it was spectacular.
Wow.
Yeah, nice.
Somebody on Front Porch Forum was asking where in Bristol is a good place to watch sunsets.
Yeah.
And, maybe we ought to lobby, or the Conservation Commission should lobby for a place behind the high school.
There is a place. There's a lot of space there to do it. I go there all the time to watch sunset.
Yeah, we've
Either
gone there.
over by the solar panels or right behind the high school. You can go there anytime. It's the Bristol,
It's
the
the
trail.
Bristol Trail Network.
Yeah, it's anywhere on the Bristol Trail Network along that edge facing west is fabulous.
I'm thinking of parking sites for people who are mobility challenged.
Yeah, I mean, you can park very close to that, but you can't quite park without getting on the lawn. That's a good idea of finding a place to park, pointing out a spot to park.
Get Porter on it. Anyway, it's
Oh.
off the subject.
I gotta, let's see. Okay. I think John is unmuted now. Sorry, John, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I think I muted your phone because there was noise coming through it when we were speaking.
Oh, I was having to call my son.
Yeah, if you do that, maybe put your phone away a little bit so that we can still hear what we're talking about.
I'm a rotary dial guy.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry. It's all fine. I was able to mute you for a while.
Thank you.
All right. I'm glad there's conversations going on and people are starting to get involved. That's great, Richard.
Yeah,
So the final thing, well, not the final thing, we have two things, Harvest Fest and John's State of Vermont auction thing for used EVs. So for the Harvest Fest, that's the 24th of September. So that's coming up in a month. And I think this is a really good opportunity to work on that conversations thing, Richard. And one thing I was thinking we could do is hand out some postcards with a stamp on them. I have some extra postcard stamps around, and have a question or two on there so people could take the postcard and then either write on it right then, or they could take it home and then send it if we wanted to ask a question about, something that would help people think about or weigh into a climate conversation.
Let me just jump in.
Yeah.
Our Addison County node has already, Roger White has already designed such a postcard.
Okay.
And he's going to get a 300 of them copy. Our plan is to put boxes. We ordered some really neat, actually little ballot boxes that we'll put in libraries and a few strategic places. We're going to see about the mini factory, and people will be able to come in, write on the postcards, put them in the box, or take them home and write and mail them. And so I'll get some of those.
I'm just thinking as we're talking about it, maybe we should think of something specific for Bristol as well. Like, what do people need for support around energy stuff? Something that's something more specifically related to the energy committee, as far as how, like, we could have both postcards, but one specifically for, I don't know, something, I'm not even sure.
Okay.
But some way for people to have sort of some input or some, what do they need to save energy in Bristol? I don't even know what it would be. We'd have to think of it pretty quick, I guess, because.
Well, we've got until
we have one more meeting.
Yeah, we have a little while.
We have one more meeting before that.
Okay, so we need to have something drafted and ready. I'll talk to Roger. He might adapt one of the postcards for us, for Bristol, okay. And then we'll print it out, and it'll be a simple way to do it. Yeah. I'll look into that.
Okay. And then otherwise, for the Harvest Fest, some of the things we've done in the past that have been really engaging for people have been actually signing, if we had some kind of thing to sign for some kind of energy thing. And certainly the electric mower was a big hit, and I'd be glad to either use yours or mine. for that purpose.
Yeah, we'll bring electric lawn equipment like we did in the past.
Yeah, and then getting some things from Efficiency Vermont that could be useful. I think the window dressers thing, that is a big one. Get people signed up for window dressers.
Yep. Okay.
So I guess those are the usual things. I know you haven't ever been there, Ben or Sally, but if you have any thoughts of what would be things that people might be interested in around energy for themselves and what we could have for them at a tent at the Harvest Fest, you know.
Yeah, we also need people to be at the booth and talk to
Ah.
people,
Definitely.
volunteers.
It's great to have energy committee members covering that time that we're there. It's usually set up, I forgot what time, but maybe
Do you
9
do-
o'clock set up with a start at 10, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Sally, do you do shifts?
Yes. Yep.
Because
I think
I'm
last
actually going to be at another table wearing a different hat, but I'm not supposed to be there all day, so maybe I can help out for a shift at the Harvest Festival.
great,
Good.
great. Yeah.
So next meeting, we should sign up for when we're going to be there.
That sounds good.
I don't want to take up too much time, but I just want to mention that really for more than a year, I've been trying to track down someone to do heat pumps or a heat pump in my house. And after doing some research on the one I want, etc., it turns out that Jackman's does them. And I've signed up to have the first one put in, see how it goes. I don't know if they would be involved in any way, but they do all of them with the same Mitsubishi heat pump, and they're some diamond dealer or something, so they get lots of them. And apparently mine can be done pretty quickly, whereas 2 other people were talking about next year, if then.
Wow.
So
I think that's a really good point, Sally, because people are going to have that question, and to have some information from Jackman's there and maybe a couple other heat pump places, it would be good for people to be able to pick up something and then go and call those people, and maybe even have, yeah.
I think Eric, maybe from Harvest Star, has been there at other, certainly the last time we had a Harvest Festival. I remember seeing him there or talking to someone from Harvest Star. But I could talk to Jackman's and ask if they want to give me any information or anything.
That's great.
Have we rented a table yet, Sally? Reserved a table?
Actually, no, I haven't even heard. Usually I hear something comes to me, but I better call them.
Yeah, definitely.
And make sure we're on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that. Usually it just seems to show up or something because we've been every year. So that's Chamber of Commerce, right? Is that who's doing that?
Core?
Oh, Core.
I don't know. I thought it was Core, but maybe.
I'll check into it. I'll ask Ian. Okay. Great. Next, are we done with Harvest Fest, you think?
I think for now.
Okay. So, John, are you there? And would you like to talk about state of Vermont auctions?
Yes, I would, and thank you, Sally. The state has X number of vehicles in its fleet, some of which are electric vehicles. And the state, after certain maybe miles driven or whatever, that car is put up for auction. I talked with the gentleman who handles that account for the General Services Agency. And the thought is, since the state's economy, this is not going to be a huge first buy and off the assembly line EV. They're going to be looking for a good used EV. We can use the state budget to have the state of Vermont buying far more electric vehicles, because in its fleet, it will still have gas driven, etc. But federal money is going to flood into the state very quickly. And that money can be used for the state to say, okay, we are going to double the number of vehicles that we retire and buy electric vehicles. The distributor, the dealerships will love that, but it will not flood, but certainly bring a huge number of electric vehicles into the used car lot. And there will be state, prior state operated, so they're going to be well maintained. I think that Senator Bray should have that discussion with the Appropriations Committee in the Senate, because that budget for next year is being written now, and we can possibly get some serious interest in greatly increasing the number of EVs the state of Vermont will buy next year.
So,
John, I just want to have this somehow connected to Bristol. How does that, this is something that you could do with
Bristol. People in Bristol are also in the market for an EV. And if it's a prior state-owned EV on the market now as a used vehicle, still get more subsidies with the used vehicle. We're probably talking about $7,000 for used EV.
I think
I'm saying people of Bristol will benefit because they will have access to more electric vehicles for sale.
So as a group that works for the select board in Bristol, what are you suggesting the select board would want us to do, or that we should do regarding this?
Well, frankly, what we could ask the select board, you have in your budget purchase of new vehicles. Are you going to be purchasing an electric vehicle? And how many vehicles does the Bristol government have? And they could be replaced with the EVs.
Do you know if there's a way to buy directly from the state for cars? Is that how they do it? Would the state?
Well, I believe what the GSA does is take that car out of the fleet and put it up for auction.
Yeah.
And the state has an auction page. But dealerships could also be given this electric vehicle and increases their revenue.
I'm thinking this is a good idea for you to talk to Chris Bray about, but not necessarily something for the energy committee to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Sally. We've had this conversation on other topics, so I understand. I'll do that.
Okay, that's great.
I
'Cause
I wonder, John, if we should run it by Mari and Caleb too.
there you go.
Sure. Sure, why not? Of course. Thank you, Richard.
Okay.
I will do that.
Maybe write up a,
I will send out an email. I've got to get more information, and I'm going to be back on the phone talking with, I think his name is Eric Philcoin at GSA, state government, and he handles this account, electric vehicles. I said, well, how many do you have? He said, well, they're all sitting in the lot because everybody's working at home. He said, we got some that had probably 20 miles for the past month.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, yeah, but I mean, people worked at home, and all those
Yeah.
state vehicles weren't needed.
I think it's great that you're tuning into, these cars and youth and all that. And it's great to talk to some people about it. So there's for a few reasons, some aren't just sitting around doing nothing. And, how can they be shifted to people who could really use them once they're done with their life with the state? So I think that's a good thing to follow up with and learn more about.
The
In
state
general.
will actually be pumping. The state will be pumping electric vehicles into the market.
Yeah. That's good. People are going to be happy about that.
Because there aren't going to be enough used electric vehicles to really meet the
Yeah.
needs of people who are $17 an hour.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
So this
Yep.
is a good way to get a little equity going with the electric vehicles, maybe by shifting these. So thanks for looking into that with the people who can actually do something about it.
Mm-hmm. And if
The
anyone would like to
our
work
reps
with me
and
on that,
senators.
email me. Yeah.
That's great.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for the
Sure.
time.
Thank you for thinking about this stuff. I think we've come to the end of the meeting. Does anyone have anything else to discuss or? Oh,
Tomatoes. I would like to ask anyone who is growing tomatoes, are they ripening at all?
Ours,
My tomatoes, they're
ours
still
started,
green.
we all of a sudden have more tomatoes, and I'm going to have to take a bath in tomatoes or something because we have so many. But it's amazing. They're going very fast. It's like they didn't ripen at all until about a week ago, and now they're
Okay.
all ripening.
Yeah,
You
that-
have hope.
My tomatoes are as green as the grass. So, John, I'm right there with you. I got a ton of them, but they're all green. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on.
Everybody's
Right,
saying
green.
that.
Fried green tomatoes.
Yes, exactly. Fried green tomatoes. Yeah.
Jim, did
Yeah.
you want to?
Something for John.
Yeah.
What?
Here's a rotary phone for you, John.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
I don't know if he can see that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I
That's
can
pretty
see
cool,
it. I don't
Jim.
know if John can.
I can
From
picture it in my
1946.
mind.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's a
black,
good one.
It's black and it has white numbers. Yes, I
That's
remember
it.
that.
You got
Wow.
it.
Are you using it, John? Is it in, or Jim, is it in service?
Oh, I can. Yeah, I have set up so I can plug it in if I want. Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
My mother had one up until she passed, and we asked my granddaughter, who was about 10 at the time, if she would call in a pizza order. And she went over and just looked at the phone. Didn't know what to do.
Amazing. Listen, guys, on this used vehicles from the state, there's a reason they get rid of them, number one. Number two, what's the battery life on those things? And if you get a used one, what is it going to cost you if you have a problem with it? I'm quite sure not a lot of people are going to be buying those things, believe me. And as
Well-
far as the federal subsidies, they will only do that on new ones that were assembled in the United States. That was on the news today.
Yeah, I know.
There's no subsidy on that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Vermont does have subsidies that do not depend on those restrictions, but I
Probably
think
not on the used one.
I think what John is talking about is maybe a different program where the state begins to buy electric vehicles, cars primarily, and with the notion that after 2 years, they will cycle them into some kind of a program that low income people could access, so that the state would just continue a rotation of cars. And then, the batteries go 150,000 miles or more. So hopefully there'd be a lot of life left in them.
Yeah.
I've had hybrids, plug-in hybrids for since 2004, and 2 of them, and they're absolutely trouble-free.
Yeah. Yeah. I borrowed one to go to see my family in Massachusetts for 10 days. And, it was averaging like about 50 miles per gallon of hybrid. It was such a pleasure to drive that car.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I'm running 60.1 right now, average.
Yeah.
It feels
Mine
good.
was probably higher, but it just was mixed with the last 500 miles they had driven. It was all in the same thing. I brought their number up by driving carefully and, watching how much I was using along the way. It's fascinating to watch how much you can save by the way you drive.
Yep.
Anyway, I guess we're done for tonight. This has been great. I really appreciate all the input and all the stepping up to do different things. And we have some events. We're going to be able to be in person together at events coming up.
Yeah.
That's great.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Oh,
Thanks,
one other,
Brian.
Sally, go ahead. One other thing, there is going to be a button-up training of some sort. I've got it on my calendar. I don't know when it is, but that's something we ought to put on the next agenda.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Thank you. Great. All right. And Sean, thank you so much for recording the meeting. I did. That's great because I forgot last time. All right. Have a great few weeks
Thank you,
until I
Sally,
see you
for
all
putting
again.
all together.